A shy girl undergoes a gynecological surgery. Shockingly, her doctor is a young millionaire. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's dive into today's story. A shy girl undergoes gynecological surgery, and shockingly, her doctor turns out to be a young millionaire. Let's see how this story unfolds. Emma couldn't shake the thoughts of Dr. Liam Parker from her mind. After discovering his true identity as a millionaire tech mogul, she felt a whirlwind of emotions, most of all, confusion. She hadn't expected him to be anything more than the kind, professional doctor who had treated her with respect and patience during her gynecological procedure. But now, knowing his wealth, she found herself second-guessing every interaction. Was he just being kind because of his status? Or was it genuine? She pushed the thoughts aside, telling herself it didn't matter. After all, it was just a doctor-patient relationship. Still, she couldn't help but wonder, what if there was more? A week later, Emma found herself back at the cafe where she worked part-time, trying to focus on taking orders and serving customers. It was just another ordinary shift, but her thoughts kept drifting back to Dr. Parker. She had mentioned her artwork during their brief conversation in the examination room, and for some reason, that memory stood out. Maybe it was because it was the first time anyone had shown a real interest in her passion. She had dreamed of becoming an artist, of opening her own art gallery someday, but life had a way of getting in the way. Paying rent, keeping up with bills, and surviving from one paycheck to the next left little room for pursuing her dream. But something about Dr. Parker's encouragement made her wonder if there was more to her future than just getting by. She sighed, pushing the thought aside. She had too many responsibilities to think about art right now. As she was walking back to the counter to grab another coffee order, the door to the cafe opened, and in walked none other than Dr. Liam Parker. Emma froze for a moment, her heart skipping a beat. He looked just as calm and collected as she remembered, his dark hair styled perfectly, and his suit fitting him impeccably. She quickly tried to compose herself, but her hands betrayed her, shaking slightly as she grabbed a napkin. Emma, Liam's voice broke through her thoughts, soft and steady. She looked up, her face flushing. Dr. Parker, what are you doing here? He smiled, a knowing glint in his eyes. I came to see you, actually. I hope I'm not interrupting your shift. Emma was speechless for a moment, caught off guard by his unexpected appearance. I didn't expect to see you here, she said, trying to sound casual. Well, you mentioned your artwork the other day, and I thought maybe you'd like to come to a gala next week. It's a charity event, and I'd love to see you there, he said, his tone polite yet warm. Emma's mind raced. A gala? She couldn't imagine herself attending such an event, let alone mingling with people who likely lived in an entirely different world from hers. I don't know if that's such a good idea, she stammered, looking down at her worn-out uniform. She felt out of place, like she didn't belong in a room full of millionaires and socialites. Liam seemed to read her hesitation and stepped closer, his expression softening. You don't have to worry about fitting in, Emma. Just come as yourself. That's all I ask. His words were kind, but they felt like a challenge. Could she really step out of her comfort zone and accept an invitation to a world she didn't belong to? It's just one night, he added, a faint smile tugging at his lips. And I think you'll enjoy it. The gallery I'm hosting the event at has a beautiful collection of works by local artists. I think you'll appreciate it. His sincerity caught her off guard, and for a moment, Emma felt a flicker of something deep inside, hope, maybe? She'd always dreamed of being part of an art world, even if it seemed impossible. Okay, she said finally, her voice barely above a whisper. I'll go. The moment the words left her mouth, she immediately regretted them. What was she thinking? She was a waitress. She barely had Enough money to buy a decent outfit, let alone something suitable for a fancy gala. But Dr. Parker was already smiling, his eyes lighting up with genuine excitement. Great! I'll have the details sent to you. And, Emma, he added, his voice dropping slightly, I'm really looking forward to seeing you there. The next few days passed in a blur as Emma tried to focus on her job while anxiously preparing for the upcoming gala. She borrowed a dress from a friend and spent hours on YouTube learning how to do her makeup. The whole thing felt surreal, like she was stepping into a world that didn't belong to her. On the night of the event, Emma stood in front of the mirror, adjusting the borrowed dress. It was simple, nothing extravagant, but it was the best she could do. She wasn't sure if she was doing this for herself or for Dr. Parker, but something deep inside told her that this night could be the turning point she had been waiting for. As she walked into the venue, the buzz of conversation and clinking glasses filled the air. The grand hall was filled with elegantly dressed people, all talking in groups, laughing, and enjoying the evening. Emma felt out of place, her heart racing as she moved through the crowd, searching for Liam. She didn't know what to expect from this night, but she knew one thing for sure: her life was about to change. Just as she was about to turn around and leave, a voice called out her name. Emma! She turned around to find Dr. Parker walking toward her, looking as composed and handsome as ever. His eyes locked onto hers, and for a moment, she forgot about everything else. I'm so glad you came, he said with a warm smile. It's good to see you, Dr. Parker, Emma replied, feeling a little more at ease now that she was talking to him. I'm glad you made it, he said, his voice genuinely pleased. Shall we go inside? As Emma followed Dr. Liam Parker into the main hall of the gala, she couldn't help but feel a little overwhelmed. The room was filled with elegantly dressed people, all laughing, mingling, and clinking glasses. It was like something out of a movie, a world she had never imagined being a part of. She felt like an outsider, a small fish in a big pond. Her hands were shaking slightly as she adjusted her dress, trying to keep calm, reminding herself that she was here to enjoy the art, not to worry about fitting in. Liam led her to a corner where a group of people were gathered, and she noticed several other guests glancing at her. Was it because she looked out of place? Or was it just her imagination? Dr. Parker seemed completely at ease in this environment, his presence commanding attention without effort. He introduced her to a few people, all of whom were friendly, though their polite smiles didn't quite reach their eyes. Emma tried her best to keep up with the conversation, nodding and smiling when appropriate, but her mind kept wandering. She had never been in a room like this before, and the weight of the situation was starting to sink in. As the night went on, Emma found herself standing in front of a large canvas, lost in thought. The artwork on display was stunning, abstract, colorful, and full of emotion. She could feel her heart beating a little faster as she took in the pieces, something deep inside her stirring. Maybe this was the world she was meant to be a part of. Just as she was lost in the artwork, a voice interrupted her thoughts. I thought I might find you here. It was Liam, standing beside her with a glass of wine in hand. He gave her a warm smile, and for the first time that evening, she felt a little more at ease. You look beautiful tonight, he said, his voice soft. Emma felt her cheeks flush, and she quickly looked away, not used to receiving compliments. Thank you, she muttered, not sure how to respond. Liam studied her for a moment, his expression thoughtful. I'm glad you came, he said sincerely. I know this might feel like a world away from what you're used to, but you belong here, Emma. Emma couldn't help but feel a knot form in her stomach. His words were kind, but they also made her wonder, why was he being so nice to her? He was a millionaire, surrounded by people who had everything. Why would he care about a waitress from a small cafe? I'm not sure I belong here, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I don't know anyone, and this place, it's all so foreign to me. Liam placed a hand on her shoulder, his touch warm and reassuring. You belong here because you have a story to tell, he said, his gaze never leaving hers. And I think you're just starting to realize how much you have to offer. Emma felt a lump form in her throat at his words, and for the first time in a long time, she felt seen. Not just for her job, not for what she lacked, but for who she was. She had spent so much of her life feeling invisible, but in this moment, she felt as though Liam was offering her something more: hope. Just then, the event's host stepped onto the stage, signaling the start of the main portion of the evening. The room quieted, and people began to gather around the stage. "Shall we?" Liam asked, offering her his arm. Emma hesitated for a moment before taking it, her heart racing. She had never felt more out of place, but something about Liam's presence made her feel a little less alone. As they made their way to the front of the room, Liam introduced Emma to a few more people, but she found herself growing more comfortable with each conversation. It wasn't as hard as she had thought to engage with others. She was still nervous, but the awkwardness was starting to fade. She even found herself laughing at some of the jokes, enjoying the simple pleasure of being in good company. The night wore on, and soon, Liam led Emma to a quiet balcony overlooking the city. The cool night air brushed against her skin, and for a moment, she felt a sense of peace. "I'm glad you're here, Emma," Liam said, his voice soft against the night's stillness. "I know this is all a bit overwhelming, but I want you to know that I see something in you. You're not just a waitress or a girl with big dreams. You're someone who has a lot to offer this world." Emma looked out over the city, her thoughts swirling. Could this be true? Could she really be more than just someone struggling to get by? The idea seemed so foreign to her, but hearing it from Liam made it feel real. Maybe there was more to life than surviving. Maybe there was a chance for her to thrive. "Thank you, Liam," she said, her voice shaky with emotion. "I don't know if I believe that yet, but I want to." Liam smiled, his eyes sparkling in the moonlight. "You will, Emma. I believe in you." And in that moment, Emma felt a spark of hope flicker in her chest, a hope that maybe, just maybe, she wasn't as far from her dreams as she had always thought. As the evening progressed, Emma found herself feeling more at ease in the luxurious setting of the gala. The initial awkwardness she had felt when entering the grand hall began to fade, replaced by a newfound sense of confidence. Liam was by her side, introducing her to more people, and with each conversation, Emma started to feel like she belonged, at least for this night. She had never imagined she would be part of an event like this, surrounded by successful people, artists, and philanthropists, but here she was, standing tall and more comfortable than she had ever expected. She couldn't help but glance at Liam from time to time. He had a way of making everyone around him feel important, like they mattered. He wasn't just the powerful CEO everyone knew him to be, he was kind, genuine, and seemed to have a genuine interest in her as a person, not just as the waitress he had met during her visit to the clinic. Emma had never experienced anything like this before. For the first time in her life, she felt like someone cared about her dreams, someone believed in her potential, even when she didn't fully believe in herself. As they walked through the event, Liam pulled her into a corner where the auction items were displayed. "I thought you might like this," he said, pointing to a large painting of a quiet beach at sunset. Emma's eyes widened. The brushstrokes were soft and calming, and the colors seemed to capture the very essence of peace. She felt a tug at her heart. "It's beautiful," she said, almost breathless. "I love how the artist has captured the light." Liam smiled at her reaction. "I knew you would appreciate it," he said, his voice warm and sincere. "If you ever decide to start your own gallery, I can see you showcasing pieces like this." Emma's heart skipped a beat. Could it be that Liam was not just offering support, but was also genuinely helping her shape her future? She had been dreaming of opening her own art gallery for years, but it always seemed so far out of reach. Tonight, however, felt different. The dream she had kept hidden in the back of her mind was suddenly closer, and for the first time, it felt possible. They stood there for a few more moments, admiring the artwork together, and then Liam turned to her. "Emma, there's something I want to ask you. I know this might be a little forward, but I've been thinking about how much potential you have. I would love to help you make your dream come true." Emma looked at him, her heart pounding. "What do you mean?" Liam hesitated for a moment, as if considering his words carefully. "I know you've always wanted to open your own gallery, and I believe you can do it. I'd like to help you get started. I can introduce you to some people in the industry, and if you're open to it, I can offer some financial backing. You don't have to do this alone. Emma's mind raced. Was he serious? Did she really have the opportunity to live the life she had always dreamed of? She had spent so many years struggling just to get by, working multiple jobs, barely scraping through. But now, someone was offering her a chance to finally break free from that cycle and pursue her passion. It seemed too good to be true. I don't know what to say, Emma whispered, her voice shaking. This is so much more than I ever expected. Liam's expression softened. You don't have to say anything right now. I just want you to know that I believe in you. And whatever you decide, I'll support you. But you deserve to follow your dreams, Emma. She stood there for a moment, feeling a mix of emotions. Part of her was terrified, afraid of taking such a big leap. But another part of her, something deep inside, was filled with hope. For the first time, she felt like someone saw her for who she truly was, not just the girl struggling to get by, but the woman with big dreams and the potential to make them a reality. I'll think about it, she said finally, her voice steadier now. But, thank you, Liam. This means more to me than I can say. Liam smiled. His eyes warm. Take your time. No rush. I'm here for you, whenever you're ready. As the night drew to a close, Emma couldn't help but feel like she was standing on the edge of something new. The gala, the people, the conversations, everything had been overwhelming, but also exhilarating. For once, Emma didn't feel like an outsider. She felt like she belonged. And as she looked over at Liam, who was smiling back at her, she realized that maybe, just maybe, this was the beginning of something incredible. She couldn't wait to see where this path would lead her. But for the first time in a long time, she felt excited about the future, something she hadn't felt in years. The days following the gala felt like a dream for Emma, but at the same time, everything had started to feel incredibly real. She kept replaying the conversation with Liam in her head, the way he had offered to help her with her dream of opening an art gallery. It felt like something out of a fairy tale. How could a woman like her, someone who had always struggled to make ends meet, possibly deserve such an opportunity? But every time she thought about it, she felt a spark of hope, and that spark seemed to grow a little brighter each day. She found herself daydreaming about the possibilities. Liam had said she didn't have to rush, that she could take her time to decide, but the more she thought about it, the more she realized that this might be the chance she had been waiting for her entire life. The thought of having her own gallery, showcasing her artwork and the work of other local artists, seemed too incredible to pass up. But she also knew that taking such a leap was terrifying. She had no formal training in business, and she had no idea where to even begin. Could she really step into a world like this, a world so far removed from the one she knew? Emma sat down at her small kitchen table one evening, a cup of tea in front of her, and tried to sort through her thoughts. Her phone buzzed on the table beside her, interrupting her train of thought. It was a message from Liam. She hesitated for a moment before opening it, unsure of what to expect. The message was simple, yet it made her heart race. Hi Emma, I hope you're doing well. I wanted to follow up and see how you're feeling about the gallery idea. If you're ready to talk more about it, I'd love to meet up sometime this week. Emma's fingers hovered over the screen. It had only been a few days since the gala, and the idea of moving forward with something so big still felt surreal. She had so many questions, but there was something about Liam's message that made her feel like maybe, just maybe, she was ready to take that step. She took a deep breath and typed her response. Hi Liam, thank you for checking in. I've been thinking a lot about it, and I'm interested in talking more. When would be a good time for us to meet? She hit send and immediately regretted it, her heart racing as she stared at the phone. What had she just committed to? But then, almost as if on cue, a reply popped up. How about tomorrow afternoon? I'll take you to a place where I think you'll find some inspiration. Let me know if that works for you. Emma stared at the message, a mix of excitement and anxiety swirling inside her. Tomorrow. That was so soon, but there was something in her gut telling her that this was the right thing to do. She quickly typed, "Tomorrow works for me. I'll see you then." The next afternoon, Emma met Liam at the address he had sent her. It was a cozy little coffee shop near the downtown area, with art pieces hanging on the walls, creating an inviting, creative atmosphere. As soon as Emma stepped inside, she was greeted by the smell of freshly brewed coffee and the soft hum of quiet conversation. She found Liam sitting at a table near the window, a warm smile on his face when he saw her walk in. "Hi Emma, I'm glad you could make it," he said as she approached. He stood up and motioned for her to sit down across from him. The way he greeted her made her feel at ease, as though she was an old friend rather than someone he had only recently met. "Thanks for inviting me," Emma replied, sitting down. "This place is nice. I love how it feels, so artistic." Liam smiled, his eyes twinkling. "I thought you'd like it. This is the kind of environment I think you'd thrive in, where creativity and passion come together. I wanted to show you something here that could spark some ideas for your gallery." He led her over to a section of the cafe where several local artists had their works displayed. The pieces were diverse, some abstract, some portraiture, all vibrant with emotion and color. Emma took a step forward, her eye scanning each painting, each sculpture, and each photograph with fascination. She felt a surge of excitement, a feeling she hadn't experienced in a long time. Liam stood beside her, quietly watching her reaction. "What do you think?" he asked. I love it," Emma said softly, her voice filled with awe. "This is exactly the kind of space I imagined for my own gallery, where art feels alive, where people can connect with it on a deeper level." Liam nodded, clearly pleased with her response. "That's exactly what I had in mind when I thought about helping you. I want to make sure your gallery reflects your passion, your vision, and not just be a place to showcase art, but a place where people can come together and experience something meaningful." Emma's heart swelled at his words. He wasn't just offering financial backing, he was offering her the chance to create something truly special, something that reflected her own values and dreams. For the first time in her life, she felt like she wasn't just dreaming, she was on the verge of making those dreams a reality. "I'm ready," she said quietly, almost to herself. "I'm ready to make this happen." Liam's eyes softened, and he smiled. "I'm glad to hear that, Emma. Let's make it happen." In the weeks that followed, Emma's life began to change in ways she never could have imagined. Liam had kept his word, offering her both guidance and the resources she needed to start bringing her dream to life. He introduced her to a network of artists, curators, and business professionals who shared her passion for art and creativity. They met regularly to discuss ideas, and every conversation left Emma feeling more inspired and confident. She spent hours each day working on her vision for the gallery, pouring her heart into every detail. The space Liam had helped her secure was perfect. It was a charming, yet modern space located in the heart of the city, with large windows that let in natural light and exposed brick walls that added character. It was everything she had dreamed of, and more. Despite the excitement, Emma still felt a sense of disbelief. She was creating a gallery, a real, live gallery. And she wasn't doing it alone. Liam had been there for every step of the process, offering advice and lending a hand when needed. But she couldn't shake the feeling that her involvement with him was starting to blur the lines between business and something more personal. She had started to notice the way he looked at her, the way his voice softened when he spoke to her, and how much time he made for her despite his busy schedule. One afternoon, as Emma was preparing for the grand opening of the gallery, she found herself in the middle of a conversation with Liam that felt different from all the others. They were sitting in the gallery, discussing the final touches, when he suddenly looked at her in a way that made her heart skip a beat. "Emma," he began, his voice low and steady, "I want you to know something. This gallery, your dream, it's incredible. You've put so much into this, and I admire that more than you know. But it's not just the art I see in you. It's who you are. Your passion, your heart, the way you see the world." Emma's breath caught in her throat. Her heart raced, and for a moment, she felt a lump form in her throat. She had always admired Liam, but this felt different. It felt like he was saying something deeper, something more personal. Before she could respond, Liam continued, his eyes never leaving hers. I know this might not be the best time to say this, but I've been thinking about you. A lot. Not just as someone I'm helping, but as someone I care about. I hope that doesn't make things awkward, but I just wanted you to know. Emma's mind raced. She had known that Liam was kind, but she hadn't expected this. She had never allowed herself to imagine something more between them, but hearing him say these words made her wonder if she had been blind to the possibility all along. Emma started, but the words caught in her throat. She didn't know what to say. She had spent so much of her life focused on survival and chasing dreams that she hadn't really allowed herself to think about love, or what it might look like with someone like Liam. Liam reached out, gently taking her hand in his. You don't have to say anything right now. I just wanted you to know how I feel. I care about you, Emma, and I want to be a part of your life in more ways than just as your benefactor. Emma looked down at their joined hands, her mind spinning with the weight of his words. She had never thought this would happen, never thought she would be in a position where someone like Liam would look at her the way he did. She was a girl from a small town with big dreams, and here she was, standing in her own art gallery, holding hands with a man who was not only successful but who seemed to care about her in a way that went beyond business. Slowly, she looked back up at him, her eyes searching his for answers she wasn't sure she could put into words. I didn't expect this, she said softly, her voice barely above a whisper. I didn't expect you to feel this way. Liam smiled, his expression gentle and understanding. I know this is a lot, Emma. But I'm here for you. Whatever you decide, I'll be here. I just wanted to be honest with you. Emma took a deep breath, her heart still racing. She had spent so much time doubting herself, doubting her worth, and now she realized that the person she had always wanted to be, confident, passionate, and worthy of love, was right in front of her. I'm scared, she admitted quietly. I've always been scared of taking risks, of letting myself trust in something more. Liam's grip on her hand tightened slightly, his voice full of warmth. I get that. But you're not alone, Emma. I'm here, and I'm willing to take that risk with you. For the first time in a long while, Emma allowed herself to feel something she hadn't thought possible, hope. She wasn't sure what the future held, but in that moment, she knew one thing for certain, she wasn't facing it alone anymore. And with Liam by her side, she was ready to face whatever came next. As the days passed, Emma found herself grappling with the whirlwind of emotions that had come with Liam's confession. His words echoed in her mind, his promise to stand by her no matter what lingering in her thoughts. She had always been cautious, too careful to let anyone in, too afraid of being vulnerable. Yet, Liam's sincerity was undeniable, and it made her question the walls she had built around her heart. Still, fear crept in. Could she really let go of her doubts and embrace something that felt too good to be true? The grand opening of the gallery was only a week away, and the pressure to get everything perfect weighed heavily on Emma. She spent long hours at the gallery, making sure every corner was polished, every piece of art carefully arranged. She was determined to make this event a success, to show everyone that her dream was worth it, but there were moments when she couldn't shake the feeling that she wasn't doing enough, moments when she wondered if she was truly capable of running this gallery on her own. Liam was always there, offering support and guidance, but she started to feel the weight of his presence in a different way. His kindness, his attention, his belief in her, was it too much? She couldn't help but worry that she was relying on him too much. She had worked so hard to get here, to stand on her own 2 feet, and now it felt like she was leaning on him more than she should. One evening, as she was locking up the gallery after a late night of preparation, Liam appeared at the door. He had a concerned look on his face, as though he could sense her inner turmoil. Emma, he said softly, his voice breaking through the silence of the gallery. You've been working non-stop. Are you okay? Emma paused, taking a deep breath. She didn't want to admit how overwhelmed she was, how much she was struggling to keep everything together. I'm fine, she said quickly, forcing a smile. Just a little tired, that's all. Liam stepped closer, his eyes searching hers, as if trying to read her thoughts. "You don't have to pretend with me, you know," he said gently. "I'm here for you, and I always will be. But you have to let me in, Emma. You don't have to do everything on your own." The vulnerability in his voice hit Emma harder than she expected. She had always prided herself on being independent, but deep down, she knew that relying on others didn't make her weak, it made her human. She had been afraid of trusting, of opening up, because she had always been let down in the past. But Liam wasn't like the others. He had been there for her every step of the way, believing in her when she couldn't believe in herself. "I know," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "I guess I've always been afraid of needing someone else. I didn't want to depend on anyone. But with you, She stopped herself, her heart racing. The words felt too heavy, too honest, but they were also the truth. Liam reached out and gently cupped her cheek, his touch soft but reassuring. "It's okay to need someone, Emma. It's okay to lean on me. You don't have to carry everything alone. You don't have to do this alone." The sincerity in his words made Emma's chest tighten. She had spent so many years carrying the weight of the world on her shoulders, convincing herself that she could handle everything on her own. But in this moment, with Liam's hand on her cheek and his unwavering support, she realized that maybe, just maybe, it was okay to let someone in. She closed her eyes for a moment, taking in the warmth of his touch, allowing herself to feel the comfort that she had been denying for so long. "Thank you," she said softly, her voice trembling with emotion. "I don't know what I'd do without you." Liam smiled, a soft, tender smile that made Emma's heart skip a beat. "You won't have to find out," he said, his voice filled with warmth and certainty. "I'm not going anywhere." As the night wore on, Emma found herself feeling lighter than she had in weeks. She was still nervous about the opening, still anxious about the future, but she also felt something else, something she hadn't felt in a long time: hope. She wasn't alone anymore. She had Liam by her side, and together, they could face whatever came next. The day of the grand opening arrived, and the gallery was buzzing with excitement. People flowed in and out, admiring the art, chatting with the artists, and enjoying the evening. Emma felt a rush of pride as she watched the event unfold, realizing that all of her hard work had paid off. She was living her dream, and it was more incredible than she had ever imagined. As the night came to a close, Liam found Emma standing by a painting, her eyes focused on the brushstrokes as if they held the answers to everything. He walked up to her and stood quietly for a moment, watching her. "You did it," he said softly, his voice full of admiration. "You made your dream a reality." Emma turned to him, her eyes sparkling with emotion. "We did it," she corrected him, her voice full of gratitude. "You believed in me when I couldn't believe in myself. This is as much yours as it is mine." Liam smiled and took her hand in his. "And I always will, Emma. Always." In that moment, surrounded by the art that had once only been a distant dream, Emma realized that she wasn't just building a gallery, she was building a future filled with love, trust, and the possibility of everything she had ever hoped for. Either weeks after the gallery's grand opening felt like a quiet miracle unfolding in Emma's life, everything she had once feared was now becoming something she could finally embrace. Each morning she walked into the gallery, sunlight pouring across the polished floors, and she felt a sense of belonging she had never experienced before. The artists she had invited were grateful and excited, the community was slowly discovering her space, and people she had never met came in just to admire the work she curated. It felt unreal, yet perfectly right. Through it all, Liam remained by her side, but he never overshadowed her. He showed up when she needed him, offered guidance when she asked, and stood back when she wanted to handle things alone. His presence was steady, like a heartbeat she had grown used to. But with that comfort came something else: fear. Not fear of him, but fear of what she was feeling. One afternoon, while arranging a new set of paintings for the upcoming showcase, Emma found herself lost in thought. She asked herself questions she had been avoiding for weeks. Was she ready for something as real as love? Could she truly open her heart after guarding it for so long? Could she trust someone who had every reason to walk away from her at any moment? She was so deep in thought that she did not hear the gallery door open. Emma. Liam's voice echoed gently through the space, pulling her back from her spiraling thoughts. She turned, surprised to see him holding 2 cups of coffee. "You looked like you could use a break," he said with a soft smile. Emma took the cup, grateful not just for the coffee but for the familiarity he brought with him. "Thank you," she said quietly. They sat on the bench in the center of the gallery, surrounded by the art she had carefully curated. It should have been a peaceful moment, but Emma felt the weight of her unspoken fears pressing down on her chest. Liam noticed. "You have been quiet lately," he said gently. "Is everything all right?" Emma hesitated. She knew this moment was coming. She could not keep hiding behind her work forever. Taking a shaky breath, she finally spoke. "Liam. I am scared." His expression softened. "Of what?" "Of everything," she admitted. "Of failing. Of disappointing you. Of trusting someone too much. Of letting myself feel things I am not sure I am ready for." Liam listened without interrupting, his eyes fixed on her with a calm patience that made her want to cry. "Emma," he said quietly, "you never have to be afraid of disappointing me. I do not care about perfection. I care about you." She looked down at her hands, trembling slightly around the coffee cup. "I do not want you to think I cannot handle things on my own." "I know you can," he said immediately. "You are one of the strongest people I have ever met. But strength does not mean shutting people out. It does not mean doing everything alone. It means letting yourself lean on someone when you need to." Emma felt something shift inside her, a tiny crack in the wall she had spent years building. "I do not know how to do that," she whispered. Liam reached over, gently taking her hand, grounding her. "Then we will learn together." Those words echoed through her like a warm wave, softening the fear that had been gripping her for so long. They sat there quietly for a moment, hands intertwined, the sunlight warming their skin. For the first time, Emma did not pull away. Later that week, as the gallery prepared for its second major event, Emma found herself smiling more easily. She greeted visitors with new confidence, laughed with the artists she had invited, and caught herself humming while she worked. Something inside her was healing, taking shape, daring to grow. And Liam was still there, watching her flourish with a look she was finally starting to understand. One evening, as they stood together in front of a new painting, a soft blend of blues and golds that reminded her of calm seas, Emma felt a strange clarity. Maybe love was not supposed to be a sudden leap. Maybe it was a series of small steps, soft confessions, shared silences, moments of understanding, learning to trust someone piece by piece. And for the first time since she had met Liam, she felt ready to take another step. "Liam," she said softly, "thank you for not giving up on me." "I never will," he replied, his voice warm. Emma looked up at him, no longer running from her feelings, but letting them rise slowly, like the tide. She did not say the words yet, but she knew. She knew she was falling. And she knew she was finally ready to let it happen. Months passed since the grand opening of the gallery, and Emma's life had transformed in ways she never imagined. The gallery had become a success beyond her wildest dreams, with more visitors each week, more opportunities for local artists, and more recognition in the art community. It felt like her hard work had finally paid off, but more than that, it felt like she had finally stepped into the life she was always meant to live. What had once been a distant dream was now her reality. But even amidst the success, it wasn't just the gallery that was changing, Emma was changing, too. With Liam by her side, she had learned how to trust, how to open up, and how to let love into her life. What had started as a professional relationship had slowly blossomed into something deeper, something she had never expected. The bond they shared wasn't perfect, but it was real, and that was enough. One crisp autumn evening, as they sat in front of the large window in her gallery, the last rays of sunlight fading into a soft, dusky glow, Liam turned to Emma with a look that made her heart skip a beat. "I've been thinking a lot," he said. His voice steady but filled with emotion. Emma looked at him curiously, her hand resting gently in his. "About what?" she asked, her heart racing just a little. Liam's eyes softened, and he smiled warmly, the same smile that had comforted her when she was unsure, the same smile that had encouraged her when she thought she wasn't enough. "About us," he began. "About everything we've been through together. You've changed my life, Emma. You've brought a light into my world that I never even knew was missing." Emma felt a wave of emotion rise within her, the tenderness in his words wrapping around her heart like a warm embrace. "Liam, she paused, unsure of what to say, but knowing deep down that the words she had been holding back were finally ready to be spoken. "I never imagined this kind of love. I never thought I would be here, with you, with all of this. But now, I can't picture my life without you in it." Liam leaned closer, his thumb gently brushing against her hand as if trying to convey everything he felt through that simple gesture. "You don't have to picture a life without me, Emma," he said softly. "Because I'm not going anywhere." The weight of his words hit her, and a flood of emotion she had long kept at bay broke free. All of her doubts, all of her fears about trusting someone, about opening her heart, melted away in that moment. She had spent so many years believing she wasn't worthy of this kind of love, of this kind of life, but now she realized how wrong she had been. She was worthy. She had always been worthy. And she had found someone who not only saw her worth but also loved her for all that she was. Without a word, Liam reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Emma's breath caught in her throat as he opened it, revealing a delicate silver ring, its simple elegance more beautiful than anything she could have imagined. "Emma," Liam said, his voice trembling slightly, "will you marry me?" Her heart swelled, and for a moment, time seemed to stand still. She had never been one for grand gestures or extravagant displays, but this moment, this quiet, intimate proposal, felt like everything she had ever needed. She looked into Liam's eyes, the man who had been there for her when she couldn't even believe in herself, the man who had shown her that love was not something to be feared but something to be cherished. "Yes," she whispered, the word barely escaping her lips, but it was all that mattered. "Yes, Liam, I will." Liam's face broke into the most beautiful smile, and he slipped the ring onto her finger. As they embraced, the world outside seemed to fade away. There was only the two of them, in that moment, in their perfect little world. In that embrace, Emma realized that love wasn't about grand declarations or perfect moments. It was about finding someone who saw you, truly saw you, and still chose to love you. And that was exactly what she had found in Liam. As the night stretched on, they sat together in the gallery, hand in hand, surrounded by the art that had once been a distant dream, now a part of their shared future. Emma had never imagined this life for herself, but now that it was here, she could see that every step, every struggle, every moment had led her to this one. And with Liam by her side, she knew there was nothing they couldn't face together. The future, once so uncertain, now stretched out before them, full of endless possibilities, and Emma finally understood that this was just the beginning of their story.